The bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941 began it all. The Japanese pushed south, and on February 19, 1942, Darwin suffered the next major raid. It was the beginning of a war that threatened Australia, and its northern shores became a graveyard of silent warriors.
About 9:45 in the morning, I saw a big flight of aeroplane coming out of the sun. And I thought it was a friendly plane until when immediately over the wharf they started dropping bombs down there. And within about 10 minutes, over nearly 200 planes overhead. Naturally, I had the biggest shock of my life. 243 people were killed, mainly on a ship. There were nearly 100 ships in the harbour then. And I remember there's Munda, there's a hospital ship, was there with a Red Cross painted on the top. I believe the Japanese bombed that ship too.
Stan, you were here that day that the bombs first came down.
I'd been watching this flight of 72 aircraft in perfect formation. Shells burst beneath the leading aircraft, and I realised then they were Japanese for the first time. We had looked after drill then that we'd been taught to go to an air raid shelter. And I sang out to the soldiers, and they quickly dashed over the side of the hill onto the what they call the escarpment now, and I went the other way and into a stone gutter in front of a Chinese shop. Lay there, fortunately on the right side of the effluent discharge. About a second after I stopped looking at them, bombs burst over the post office and government house and the wharves, and it was on then for good. They apparently broke up, went for all the ships in the harbour. It sank 8 big ships. The harbour was full of a lot of smaller ones too, which got sunk and damaged. And the hospital ship copped one of the first bombs, killed about 14 of the crew on the Munda. It was a pretty dangerous moment.
The Imperial Japanese war machine swept around the Pacific Rim, and Broome became the next target. On March 3, 1942, 17 Zeros destroyed 24 aircraft, mostly flying boats, ferrying Japanese refugees from Indonesia. Over 100 were killed in the Broome raid. After the war, the Japanese returned in their dangerous quest for the pearl. Call it karma. Over 900 Japanese died. So many ships were sunk off Honiara in the Solomon Islands, they called it Iron Bottom Sound. To stem the Japanese drive south toward Australia, idyllic Guadalcanal became one of the bloodiest battles of World War II. When the smoke cleared, 26,000 soldiers were dead. Along her shores lie many sunken warriors, great diving spots today.
This is Benigi 2.
Benigi 2,
yeah.
The one that in the photo went right up on the beach.
That's right.
Sitting up here on the beach.
That's right, yeah. Straight along the side of the wreck, down past the Stingray farm, underneath the rudder. Nice yellow fish schooling around down there. Come up behind, you'll see if there's a current around, it'll clear everything out. Look up, we'll come up, we'll go into a couple of cabins there. There's some ammunition still sitting there. So we'll have a look at some of that stuff and we'll take you through. And there's a nice, beautiful coral garden with some eels just down the left-hand side.
And what's the maximum depth?
We're looking at 21, 25 minutes.
Oh, it's only shallow, yeah. Easy dive.
Easy dive.
She was one of 11 transports to reinforce the Japanese army at Guadalcanal. 7 were sunk and she was beached, then battered by our shore guns. Shipwrecks are like buried time capsules of our past, shrouded in a garden of colourful corals. We must be careful handling any ordnance. This one is a live grenade. To maintain their bridgehead, the Japanese ran nightly convoys nicknamed the Tokyo Express. This was one of them. 80,000 tons of shipping went down in this important raid. It sealed off Guadalcanal from the Japanese. Now they had no backup supplies and soldiers, and those still entrenched on Guadalcanal were slowly wiped out. All right, here they are. In a grand show of America's might, all their landing craft are still here. But the beach is just over here, and they brought the troops in and just walked away from these.
Pretty much. There must be about 50 of these just scattered around this area.
Here are the tracks. Aluminium there. They're like a tank, aren't they? These are American amphibian tanks. We call them Amtraks. The jungle slowly engulfs them. Everywhere Gareth and I go in the jungle, we stumble on war relics. Why do they call this Pistol Pete, Gareth?
This particular gun here was stationed over Henderson Field. And just used to let out the wayward shot every now and again, try to frighten soldiers off.
Oh, this is the one that annoyed them and was very erratic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bad rifling.
Yeah.
And they could hear the shell coming.
And it was just a nuisance, really.
Yeah. Look at this, Gareth. This one certainly exploded.
Yeah, it's a big shell. Look at the rifling on that.
Oh, yeah, that's a big gun. Oh, boy. Just shows you all the shrapnel that'd be flying around with this.
Wouldn't want to be around when that one exploded.
No.
This could be New Zealand or American. New Zealand's had a lot of corsairs around this area.
What's in there?
Look at this, Ben.
Oh, right. That's 16 mil.
Could be an old Rita Hayworth movie or something.
I used to use that stuff. Old 16 mil, yeah. Archive all that lot. This is a P-38, isn't it?
P-38 Lightning.
Oh,
These are
right.
the ones that
Okay,
shot down
just
Yamamoto.
stand back. I'm ready to for action. All the dials are there, but none are working. In fact, I'm missing a steering wheel. Yep. Yeah, she's emptied, stripped out. Oops. Yeah, his last meal, mess tin. Could be more shells around here.
Jeez. Oh, look what you just tripped over, Ben.
Rifle?
Japanese Arasaka.
Look at that. Sight and all. Guy was shooting long distance.
Could have been a sniper falling out of the tree.
Yeah. I think we should take that to a museum though, I think. Not leave it here. Oh. No. Water bottle.
Look at this here, Ben.
Yeah.
This would be a perfect
gun
location for a gun nest. So look what's here.
Yeah. Machine gun.
American 50 cal.
Think American? 50 cal, yeah. It looks familiar, doesn't it? Yeah, thin red line, any of those? Yeah. That's not in bad nick, really. What do you reckon?
Take that one to the museum too, yeah?
Yeah. Anderson, I have something for you. Japanese rifle. And we have a machine gun also back there. We'll go and get that too. It's a bit heavy.
Thank
okay,
you
for your museum. You're the caretaker?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much
See ya.
for the rifle.
Along the shores of Guadalcanal, it's a wreck diver's heaven. It was a B-17 Flying Fortress bomber that was called Bessie Jap Smasher. Returning from a bombing raid on the Japanese base at the Shortland Islands, she was pursued by fighters until the loss of a second engine downed her 50 metres from shore in 17 metres of water. Virtually intact, her twin turret guns are silent warriors now. Jim Butler, my topside cameraman, is my dive buddy on most dives. Jim, you don't expect those controls to still work. Over time, the plane will slowly disappear under the sand. Red Beach is where the US Marines landed in September 42 for the Battle of Edison's Ridge. The bombardment was a continuous roll of thunder, with each howitzer firing a shell every 5 seconds. This is what they fought for. They called it Bloody Ridge. In the final assault, the Japanese dreams of a Pacific empire began to fade.
And this is a American memorial to the destruction of the final organised resistance of the Japanese.
This is at Gifu.
Gifu, yeah.
Yes.
And this was the last stronghold the Americans needed so they could start bringing supplies to keep Henderson Airfield under their control.
Uh-huh. So this was a really bloody battle here, apparently, you know, thousands
This
died.
went on for a few days, and the Japanese just wouldn't give up this hill.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Makes you realise how stupid war is, that thousands of people die to win this hill, and then when they've won it, and all the dead around them, they walk away,
That's right, they
go to the next hill.
Moved on to the next spot.
Village kids collect the spoils of war like toys. A lot of stuff, a lot of junk. Yeah, the Japanese helmet, I guess, bullet holes.
Bayonet then.
Yeah,
There's a barrel probably for the same gun as well.
yeah. Oh, okay. This is the rifle. There's a bullet. There's a bullet still in there. Yeah. So what's that, Gareth?
Well, seeing this one's not made out of glass like all the other bottles here,
Yeah.
I would say that'd have an antiseptic powder for any wounds or
Right.
a lot of the bugs and bad stuff that's
Well,
around in this area.
They certainly had a lot of wounds here, didn't they? Ah, that's
Had to be a bit of a field telephone.
yeah, yeah. No sound. Oh, it mess tin. Last meal for the poor Japanese. Even got Japanese writing on the back. Oh yeah, I recognise that.
I think these are still live too.
Oh yeah. That's it doesn't have the detonator in there. Something, but it has the pin. Put that down
This one's
careful.
definitely used, I'd say.
Mortar. Yeah. 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 Quite a battle here. Gareth, Coleman and I take a metal detector into the Gifu battle zone. So this is a Japanese monument
Yeah,
to
this is,
the Gifu battle?
The Battle of Gifu. You can see the strategic value here. It overlooks Iron Bottom completely.
Yeah. Beautiful view, $1 million view.
Yeah.
I guess it's worth fighting for. We'd fight for it back home. Something there?
It's a nest tin lid, I think.
Yeah. No, no good.
Nest tin. Rest of the nest tin?
That's something? Yeah. It's a bolt. Gun bolt. There you are, Henry. Anything?
Sometimes you find quite a bit of stuff in these foxholes.
Uh-huh. This foxhole here. Oh, there's a helmet. I can see that. Yeah.
Quite a big find there.
Oh, yeah. Amazing that they're just sitting here. A lot of bullet holes. What do you think, Henry? This guy got shot?
No, yeah, maybe a rust, huh?
Just rust. Yeah.
Just on the
Yeah.
surface.
Not that metal.
Oh, something deep.
Something deep there. Here?
Just on the surface.
Not that.
No, it's something deep.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That's part of a American.
Yeah, pineapple grenade.
Oh, a pineapple grenade. Okay.
Fusing.
There you are, mate.
Yeah.
And in here, deeper.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
Big, deep.
Oh, right. Something metal there. Oh, I got a oh, God. It's a bomb. It's a bomb. Yeah, let's get out. I hope there's no unexploded bombs down at your hut there, is there?
Move that shovel, please.
Oh, yeah, I can hear it.
I think there's something
making
else
a reading.
over here.
Yeah, oh, there it is. Oh, I can see it. That'd be Japanese?
That's a Japanese magazine.
Yeah. Ah, okay. Japanese bullets. Look, just that little bit different to the 303 bullet. What one was this called?
It was an Arisaka rifle. That was a standard Japanese one they took the South Pacific with.
6 mil?
6mm, yeah.
Yeah.
This is the a precipice where they say they threw all the dead bodies over here into that undergrowth down there,
Uh-huh.
which is all pretty much overgrown now, but there must be a stack of bodies just sitting down.
A lot of
still
bones.
buried, yeah.
Yeah. How do we get down? That's too steep there. A better path down there, is there? Okay, we'll follow you.
last time.
You found bones here in the burnt area.
This we found the bone, and then this you see.
All right.
This,
Okay,
skull.
that's part of a skull.
Yes.
More.
You see? Here, this teeth.
Oh yes, teeth. Yeah,
And another one here.
yeah. Let's have a look. Japanese teeth, molars. Yeah. You sure these don't belong to your headhunted days?
No, this is
Definitely Japanese.
Japanese.
So you're going to send these back to Japan too, you think?
Yes, if the Japanese come here and they take this.
You take them
once a
away. Good. The Battle of the Coral Sea on May 7, 1942 was fought just northeast of Cairns. It was a strategic turning point in the Pacific War and forged our alliance with the United States. Once a Japanese base, Ghetto Island is a cluttered harbour of old ships. One so old it has a tree growing out of it. One could envisage a gun-toting Clint Eastwood walking this street. Fish is their diet, chewing betel nut their habit. They call it Solomon Island lipstick. At a pretty beach, Jim, Lucas and I lunch on coconuts before we dive on the Japanese wreck. Lucas, did the Japanese treat you guys badly?
For the locals, yeah.
Yeah. And what about the Americans?
Yeah, in different islands, both of them.
Oh, both of them treat you badly. Ah, it was a war without pity that had a profound impact on the islanders. I load my underwater camera and check my computer. It's a deep dive. That's good. Jim and Lucas come down with me. The pressure builds up in our ears as we descend to the bow. She's on a sharp angle, plunging to 37 metres at her stern. The wreck is the Teo Maru, a Japanese freighter of 7,000 tons. 12 dauntless dive bombers and Hellcats attacked her and set her on fire. That's when the gas mask was used. She drifted for 3 days until running aground and slowly sunk to the seabed. As a gift to nature, the ship comes alive again. In the bowels of the ship, we marvel at the savage destruction of war, of ammunition and cargo that has tumbled and crashed into a chaotic rubble. Even ladders run sideways. A shipwreck always has a resident giant groper or cod. This is a Type 21 Japanese tank. So quiet down here. it's easy to forget that violence and death put the ship here in the first place. There are endless sake bottles. And a wash basin. Bullets for machine guns. The starboard lamp. The supply ship was bringing every need to the Ghetto base. Morphine for the wounded. Even protection for those fit and amorous. It's been a deep dive and a long one. That requires a slow ascent with decompression stops. Jim passes the time blowing bubble rings. A snapper goes spastic. What a strange way to impress a female. Many minutes tick by as we let the nitrogen dissolve out of our bloodstream. It's a time to reflect and appreciate the magic of a setting sun underwater. Right in front of the Ghetto Hotel lies a Japanese Zero fighter plane. The grander Japanese plan was to hold the chain of island conquest that formed their defence against the Allies. A passive defence was not an option for Australia, as the Japanese pushed through Papua New Guinea, the Solomons, bombed Darwin and other northern ports, mined our sea routes and torpedoed our ships. Well, Nemo's cousins also live here. Before the war, Australia had not even built a car. Before the war was over, we were building big bomber planes. The threat of invasion and the reaction to it brought rapid changes, and Australia in its isolation would never be the same again. America replaced Britain as our protector, and an enduring alliance began, first in spirit and later in the ANZUS Treaty. A marathon swim today from this island reenacts a rescue drama that set the course of America's history.
As you know, this is our commemorative swim, marking the swim that John F. Kennedy did 63 years ago now. And have fun and enjoy yourself. swimmers, start!
Kennedy swam from here to those two islands in search of help when his PT-109 boat was cut in half by a Japanese destroyer. The survivors struggled ashore here on what is known today as Kennedy Island. The round-trip swim is over 5 kilometres, a feat of courage and stamina.
Oh, yeah, great guy. Very well. Good job. Great. Very good. Congratulations.
How do you feel?
Beautiful.
Exhausted. It's a long way, man.
Ready to go again.
By good fortune, a native spotted Kennedy and his crew were saved. I'm on my way now to visit this man who rescued John F. Kennedy.
This is where you live?
Now he's a very old man who lives on Corvey Island in a new home the Kennedy Foundation built for him. Ben Cropp, Bluka, how are you? Tell me how you saved John Kennedy.
On the first day, I was in Colobangra with my friend, and on the second day, we paddled across to Nauru. Then that is the time we see that boat and the people were swimming in the sea. So we came down on the island and tried to ask each other what's happening. And we think they are Japanese, but they're not the Japanese, but they are American. That's why we go close to them and try to ask them. And that is the time we met Kennedy. During that time, we haven't got anything to write the message to send it back to the Allied for the report. But lucky we get a green coconut, Kennedy write on it. Then we take this coconut back to Rendova until the other PT boat was come down to rescue Kennedy and take it back to Rendova.
You were quite a hero. Thank you. This is Labara Island, where Kennedy's torpedo boat was based. Zunga Bolso and I explore the ruins, made famous not just because of Kennedy, for it inspired the television series Mikhail's Navy. Does it ever stop raining here?
Yeah.
It does. What's this?
It's a sign.
The Commander, World War, and I don't know what's down here. Helmet?
Yes, right.
Part of a helmet? Sort of fits together?
Yeah. It's the other one, yeah. It's a USN.
Ah, USN. Well, that's obvious. United States Navy.
Yeah, this is the area where JF Kennedy was live here.
So this is the officers' quarters of the PT base.
That's right.
And John Kennedy lived here.
All the officers.
A bit different to the White House, isn't it?
Big different.
Munda is a tidy town, but in the jungles beyond, it's a junkyard of war from its Japanese occupation. The Americans had a base only a few kilometres away in Rendova Lagoon, so a constant barrage of shells filled the air like continuous thunder. RF stand and a serial number. I'm travelling through beautiful Rendova Lagoon to dive on a bomber the Americans lost. It's a Douglas Dauntless dive bomber. She was hit by anti-aircraft fire, and the pilot, Jim Doherty, managed to ditch the plane almost in front of the hospital in Rendova Harbour to be sure of survival. Doherty admits he was a gung-ho pilot and wanted to keep the Japanese out of Australia by bombing them out of the Solomons. Jim and Sunga are digging at the port wing to expose the guns, and they find this projectile embedded in the wing. This is what brought the plane down. Off Tahitu village on Kohingo Island, Sunga takes me on a wobbly ride up a mangrove creek. Sunga says he has a surprise for me, hidden away in the jungle. That's about 5 minutes up here, is it?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Yep. Oh, wow, that's some tank, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good condition. This is the best we've seen in the jungle. Look at the bullet holes. 1, 2, and here's a ricochet. I can see 3 guns, this main one here, 2 machine guns, maybe another one in here, and in underneath there's a whole lot of shells there. Oh, I would like to live down here. Wow, tiny entry, you know, for them to get in. Very claustrophobic, because there'd be about 3 people in there. This is the best tank I've seen, except in the museum.
Yeah, this amazing thing here. It's like, you know, the handle of this machine gun is still here.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty,
amazing thing.
Yeah, it's pretty intact, isn't it? Can you get it out?
Yeah, well, I'll try to pull it up. Blow that.
Yeah, don't forget
they're back now.
Yeah, don't forget they're live.
Well, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Yeah, they're empty now. So. It's a very, very narrow. I don't know how these people get into this tank. Even myself, I'm stuck.
I learned later it's a US M3 light Stewart tank. Pretty tight, eh? Just get through. Huge coastal guns took a heavy toll on Allied shipping. This is quite some gun, isn't it? Yeah. Now, this Japanese gun, it would be commanding Enagai Harbour here, I suppose.
That's right.
And the entrance to Blackett Strait out there.
That's right.
That's where, you know, Kennedy got cut in two, and a lot of shipping.
This gun was here in 1943.
1943?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Now look at the size of this breach. Yeah, that's an 8-inch gun. That's nearly a foot across.
That's right there.
That's pretty powerful for battering all the ships out there. Everywhere we tread, we have to be careful of unexploded ordnance. Wow, this one's aimed up a lot higher.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, aiming for the ships out there. Look at these springs for the recoil. Wow. This is Baroque Harbour?
Yeah, Barocco.
Uh-huh. Barocco. And the Kasimaru?
Yeah, this is the Coastwatchers, the Japanese freight.
Yeah, yeah. I was here 25 years ago. I tied up between the two masts that time with my boat Beaver. And there was a small transport ship, Japanese transport ship. And I seem to remember that they tried to hide it and they covered it with trees.
Yes.
And then the natives happened to see it and reported it to the Allies and they came in and bombed it. Is that right?
That's right, yeah.
The Kasimaru was unloading supplies for the coastal guns we just visited. The Japanese did a good job making the ship look like a vegetated island from the air. But when the locals saw it, they said, "Hey, that island shouldn't be there," and reported it to the Allies. At 7 a.m. on July 1943, she was bombed and sunk in shallow water. Now she's a wonderful, colourful dive. Jim's looking into the very bowels of the ship. That's the projectile for the 8-inch guns. There's a truck below. Hard to tell except for the tyres. Well, Beauty and the Beast. Actually, the lionfish is the beast, for it has poisonous spines. While the war rumbles on in the Solomons and Papua New Guinea, the Torres Strait, Queensland and Horn Island are in the firing line too.
Torres Strait was vital to Australia's war effort here in the far north during the Second World War, especially Horn Island. Horn Island was home to Australia's only or closest advanced Allied air base to New Guinea. We're only a half-an-hour flight from New Guinea's shores. Our aircraft could be launched from here on attacking missions north to New Guinea before getting back here in one day, thus minimising the risk of losing planes on the ground overnight in places like Port Moresby. Aircraft also utilised the airstrip here to refuel before continuing north on attacking missions, before either coming back here to base or continuing further north through New Guinea and the Solomons. Our aircraft also from here, of course, on their attacking missions would sometimes come to grief in the waters of Torres Strait. Now these waters are very dangerous for their currents and their tides, and the men in the water relied heavily on the RAF launch. The Royal Australian Air Force had the marine crash launch based here at Horn Island. Many of these men are still alive today and have shared their stories with us about rescuing men from the water, the sharks, the tides and the currents. Without these men, many more would have died in the seas around us.
Mariba was developed as a base in May 1942. They developed the airstrip within 10 days for aircraft to land on. Ultimately, it ended up having 2 runways built, one for fighters and one for bombers. On the 26th of April to 1st of May 42, there was the urgent need to get fighters up to relieve number 75 Squadron RAF at Port Moresby because they were down to 4 aircraft. One group of 15 aircraft on the 26th of April moved in, landed in Cairns, refuelled, split into 2 groups and flew north. Out of those 15 aircraft, 9 of them were forced down on beaches or inland along the coast.
Now just keep an eye out for crocs, especially you, Tuffy. You're the best croc bait of all. This is an air cobra, what they call the P-39, and she was one of 11 that ditched in one day. They were in a squadron of 33 air cobras and 1 B-17, and they were heading from Townsville up to New Guinea to engage the Japanese, and they struck terrible weather along here. And 11 of them broke out of the formation and they got completely lost. I mean, those days they were told just follow the coast. They had no navigational equipment and they couldn't see anything because of the heavy cloud, the heavy rain. So running low on fuel, they came down till they broke out of the cloud only 100 feet above, and they had to quickly look for a place to ditch the plane. This guy chose a nice shallow area, no trouble, he wouldn't have lost his life. But all along the coast you'll find these air cobras that are ditched, and only 1 person killed out of the whole lot. Wow. But a couple of days later, 6 more struck the same problem and ditched a little bit further up here. There's probably 40 planes along here that have crashed, and not one of them engaged the Japanese. They all ran out of fuel.
Well, the only thing they had to battle was the crocs, I suspect.
These guys would have had it tough because there's a lot of crocodiles here, and they would have had to walk through the mangroves way out on the front beach to get rescue.
Wow.
So was that a better design to have the engine in the middle?
Well, this was a very hot plane, and the trouble was that they put inexperienced pilots in them, you know, just freshly out of school, and they had trouble handling such a hot plane like this, and that's why so many of them ended up running out of fuel and ditching. They just didn't have the capability of landing in very bad weather at some airport. See the fuel tanks here? They're all in separate bags. Now, they're not a fuel tank in a sense. These are all separate bags inside the wing here, so the fuel couldn't roll around and upset the balance of the plane. I travelled to Ruby Reef on my vessel Freedom. Karen Brandstater, Trina Fleischman and I are searching for a Vultee Vengeance plane that ditched here when on an anti-submarine patrol. It's a hard thing to find. I've been here before, but each time it's a problem. Pilot Bond reported both fuel tanks cut out, and he ditched her on the shallow reef. I could see it just up here, just straight in here. This was on August 4, 1943. Bond listed her as a write-off. I'd think so. Okay, neutral. A metre of coral has grown over the wing. That's a fast growth in 63 years. My son Dean and I look for another plane north of Port Douglas. We're getting pretty close to that plane at Rocky Point. Coming up, it won't be long now. Normally the water's dirty, you know, we can't dive it, we just fish it. But today the water looks clear. I think we can get down.
Oh, excellent. I've been waiting years for conditions to be right to dive this plane.
Coming up, coming up. Right, there she is. She's a Mitchell bomber that ditched in 1944 when returning from Papua New Guinea and ran out of fuel. Australia's role in halting and turning the Japanese tide was not only crucial, it was a victory against overwhelming numbers, equipment and purpose, and a triumph over its own fears. The pilot of this plane left me his memento. I got something quite interesting down there. I thought it was a fob watch when I picked it up, but I can see it's a compass. It's actually got US written on here, so it's a government issue. And it was on the pilot's side, on the wing. And I guess he dropped it when he hopped out of the plane very quickly after he ditched. Beautiful condition because it's been sitting on alloy, and this silver is just, well, looks like it was put there yesterday, dropped yesterday, instead of 60 years ago. Mavis, you were there when the plane came down off Rocky Point.
That's right, yes. It was late afternoon, and this plane had been flying around in a circle for quite some time. And my father thought, oh, it looks like he's lost. So it wasn't far off dark, so Dad decided we'd light fires on the beach, and he could see then that there was people there. So he told us later on that he decided that he'd make the last run round and then put it down on the beach, come what may. Doesn't matter what happened, but he knew people were there. Yeah. So then, as he'd done his last circle, he ran out of fuel and crashed into the sea.
Oh, well, I've got something to show you because I was down on that wreck diving and I picked up this. It's actually, you can see the US on it.
Oh, yes.
And it was on the side that the pilot was.
Oh,
Do you remember
well,
his name?
Yeah, Captain Barr.
Captain Barr. Okay, well,
Yes.
he must have dropped it. Must have been in his pocket.
and
when
fell
he
out.
jumped out,
Yes,
it fell out and it was right beside the cockpit. And it's
Oh,
in such
right.
good nick that you watch. Press this up the top and it opens out.
Oh, yes.
Right, and how old were you then?
Oh, about 15.
Oh, you would have been pretty captivated by the captain, wouldn't you?
Oh, no, it's too
No?
young for that sort of thing.
Well, didn't he wiggle his wings
oh,
every
yes,
time?
Yes, every time they used to go through, they came down low over the coconut trees and used to
Yeah.
wave to us. They did that for about 3 or 4 times and then we never saw them anymore.
Well,
So they were in the
they should have
river.
crashed just a few years later when you were 17.
Yes.
Down under Ghetto Harbour lies the wreck of the Petage. In an historic treaty on board this Australian vessel, September 10, 1945, the Japanese Admiral Sato surrendered his sword to Major General Robinson. The war was over. Memorials and memories live on. Even today, lost silent warriors are being discovered in the jungles, the mountains, and under the sea.